Hello everyone, this is LW Gaming and welcome to a brand new installment of Future Langrisser series, and today we're going to be covering the new installment which will be taking place on October 13th, 2025. This is the edition that is the day it's going to drop on, and by the time recording today is the 10th of October, and this will be released publicly on October 13th, 2025. If you're a member of the channel, you'll be able to watch this right away, which is pretty awesome as a perk. So this time around, the well-anticipated LLR Hero is coming to the game. And you may already know who this is because of how she looks in the LLR form. That's right, this is Sonya in her LLR form. And yep, she's getting her debut in this update this time around. So let's check her out and see what she's about. And I gotta say, she does retain most of her original battle kits, but of course with some much more powerful versions of them. So let's take a look at what they are. So Heaven Defier is her new LR version form name. So yep, that's her new name now. Instead of called Sonya, she's called Heaven Defier. And the class she can be are Demon and Cavalry. And then the factions she's part of are Legion of Glory, Dark Incarnation, and Tensei, or Langrisser Reincarnation Tensei for the full name. So you might be thinking, isn't the factions similar to her original factions? Well, you are right, but there are two factions that have actually changed from her original. Originally, her factions are Empire, Dark, and I believe the third one was Princess. I believe. I mean, she was a princess at some point, but now they changed it up to these three. So now she's fighting for the glory, fighting for Dark Reincarnation as well as Tensei because she's reborn as the new form, of course. Although it may sound a bit strange when it comes to the context of like she's from Tensei or something, but no. The reason why she is Tensei faction is because she is reborn. And then Glory makes sense, ties to the Langrisser Mobile lore, where Sonya comes back in vengeance and fight for the light, but also inherits some of the dark power within her, because she is half demon after all. And her role in this form is a hybrid DPS, just like her original with her 3C, based on the defensive stats on the enemies. So basically she will normally use physical attack as her primary way to do damage, but if there are some cases, like for example if you have the 1C that you equip on her, she's going to be able to like change up her magic type to hybrid. So it's like, for example, the enemy has higher defense than magic defense, her damage type will be considered as magic damage. So yep, there's that right there, and can easily be done as long as your opponent has if your opponent has higher defense, you'll do magic instead, which is awesome. So that means you'll do the best damage at all times, which is pretty nuts. So like, it doesn't matter if their defense or magic defense was lower or whatever, she'll use that as to exploit the enemy. And then she has a unique revive that can be regained without limits. And what I mean by that is that if she's able to like doing those like accumulate those light and shadow stacks up to 3 times, that's like an auto revive on herself. So, and also whenever a revive trigger, depending on what kind of damage type it is, if it's physical, it will take away 3 stacks of light, or I should say radiance stacks. And then, however, if it's magic fatal damage, it will take shadow instead. And also, I think these ones are calculated individually. So that means if you got like a fatal damage from the physical attack, you can still take a hit from magical, as long as it's magic, of course. As I think that's how it works. We'll have to see if this game mechanic carries over in the game as we speak here. So, anyways, the next one we're gonna look at is that at 3 stacks of light or shadow, or I should say radiance or shadow stacks, she will become a revive disabler DPS, which honestly that is absolutely nuts, because now we have another option for Tank Buster, or to be precise, Dragon Slayer Crusher, because now there's like a lot of units in the game that really despises Dragon Slayer and they wanted him dead. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, there's now a lot of characters in the game now that can destroy Dragon Slayer. Ymir still is the best unit out there, and now we have a secondary option that does best on top of everyone else that does revive disable. Absolutely disgusting. But however, it is in a good way because they're trying to like create units that solves the meta problem, which is Dragon Slayer back in the day. But now with more of those revive disablers, Dragon Slayer is somewhat at a fair state when it comes to balance, of course. And then and also of course doesn't mean that it's balanced in the whole field. As long as you're able to secure one of them, you should be alright in the long run. And also, just like Lightbringer, she buffs demon classes. So there's that one skill she has that can buff demons, which is pretty awesome because we don't have this kind of class buff for a long time. When they first introduced it to Lightbringer, and now Lightbringer does buff infantry, I believe, with her casting, but I don't know if it's out yet. Probably not. But if it's already out by the time when I record this, then yeah, Lightbringer is no longer a sole class buffer because now there's another one which goes to Heaven Defier, who can buff demons. Next up, let's talk about new soldiers and SP soldiers. Yes, believe it or not, we have yet to get another 2 new soldiers and 2 new SP soldiers. So let's see what the new soldiers are. So the new soldiers that we have here, one of them is a cavalry named Forest Centaur. And also I did reformat how this page works now. So instead of showing just the name and the class type of the soldiers, now I'm going to show the full info on all 4 of them. So anyways, Forest Centaur increases the soldier attack by 30% at max upgrade, by the way. When fighting enemies in forest, mountain, or grassland terrain, gains attack and damage dealt increase of 10%. After combat, the target is afflicted with mobility -2 and can't guard for 1 turn. So yeah, this one is actually pretty strong for many of the cavalries in general, because not only you're able to do good amount of damage depending on what terrain you're standing on top of that, you can also make them not able to guard if you're attacking a tank, that is. Which will makes it really interesting to see. And next one we got is Black Pegasus Knight, which will be like I think they will be called it Dust Pegasus when it comes to final translations, but I'll call it Black for now. But I think a Dusk make more sense in this kind of context. But anyway, soldier attack is increased by 15%. Before initiating combat, for every 1 block moved, the enemies suffer crit rate and suffer crit damage is increased by 10% during combat, and this can be increased up to 30%, depending on how many blocks you moved. So yeah, this actually is pretty strong. So you'll be able to do more crit on there as well as extra crit damage against the enemy that you're fighting. Pretty nuts for a new soldier, to say the least. Now let's move on to the next part, which is the new SP soldiers we're gonna get in this update. So there are 2 new ones currently. So we got the Dragoon as the first one, and also the images below are the 2 evolved forms of what they look like if you upgrade them to their SP. So first off, let's talk about the Dragoon. The Dragoon increases the attack and defense by 25%. When actively attacking an enemy with mobility less than or equal to yours, unit gains attack plus 15% and damage taken minus 15% during combat. And the additional heroes that can use this SP soldiers are Tarantel, Kagura from Gintama, of course, Andrile, Vernodime, and Helena. And the second SP soldier we're getting in this update are Mechanical Dragon Knights. And what this does is that increases your attack and defense by 25%. And I think that's the same one as the previous soldier. When attacked, gains physical damage taken minus 25%. If there are no allies within 1 block of yourself, soldiers gain attack and defense increase by 15%, which is a pretty nice buff for them. And this also boosts Rhea, by the way, which is pretty nuts. And then additional heroes that can use this are Leon, Tabris, Caroline, Jugler, and Vincent. Yep, and these are all the soldiers that we have for this update. And now let's move on to the next part, which is new casting skills for 2 characters that we have here, 2 heroes. The first one we have is a Dank Elmo, or known as Johnny. if you're still playing the game and still far behind from the older story. But anyways, let's see what Adengelmo's casting does. After placing a portal, if there are 2 or more friendly portal within 3 blocks around Adengelmo, she can act again. This effect can only trigger once per portal deployed. When Adengelmo stands on ally portal terrain, she gains skill range +2, which is a nice upgrade for Adengelmo. Do I think she's gonna be like Apex meta wise? It just really depends on what kind of box you're running her in, because I think she'll work well with like a rush team mostly, but tank push may also work too. But most of the time you may want to stay back if you're fighting against a rush player, that is. So do I think Adengelmo is gonna scratch the meta? Possibly, it's possible, but not entirely to the point where she becomes the meta unit. Well, we'll have to wait and see how it goes. Next up we got is Agito Makashima from Guyver. And he has a casting in this update, which will increase his attack by 10%. Ambition cannot be dispelled. After combat, Agito gains 1 additional stack of ambition and recover HP equal to 20% of damage dealt. Like whenever he enters combat, of course. Like after combat, he will heal a bit of it, and also a stack of ambition. And by the way, Agito is also known as Guyver 3. And next up we got is a new exclusive equipment. This time we have is the headwear for Ymir. Yep, that mask that he wears. As you can see here, it looks identical but not really the same thing. It is kind of similar, but the design is just slightly different and much more epic. So HP is increased by 10% when having Radiant Shackles, and this will gain 1 stack of Raging Surge, which is his red stacks whenever he gains a debuff, whatever that was. Now he's gonna be getting 1 as long as he has Radiant Shackles on, and after taking damage from an attack, of course. So as long as you're being attacked while having this effect on you, you will be able to gain 1 stack of it, which will make him somewhat dangerous. When not equipped with Radiant Shackles, upon actively attacking and entering combat, grants all allies without debuffs a number of random buffs effects equal to your current stacks of Raging Surge, which will be up to 4 times. And what I mean all allies is that basically any allies on your team, no matter where they are, they're going to gain those buffs. Doesn't matter where he is. Which is actually pretty nuts when it comes to like buffing your allies. But overall, many people would suspect that his exclusive will negate the class advantages, but unfortunately, this is not what this exclusive does, which is kind of a letdown. But hey, I mean, the only saving grace Ymir may have is that in the future we will be seeing him with the casting maybe, and that might be the answer to our issue. So there are some matches where Ymir does worse as a demon, of course, which is Lightbringer battle against him. Yeah, he's not gonna win against that. And as of right now, many people build him to destroy Dragon Slayer, which means what it means is that Ymir mostly will be demon. So having this headwear without that advantage immunity, whatever that was, it's just not gonna make him do better. Just to be honest, but I mean, the only saving grace, like I said earlier, is that if he gets a casting that can ignore class advantages, then that will actually be a huge help for him, because Ymir doesn't really have to worry about him getting hurt by holies as a demon, of course, or if he is a holy himself, he doesn't have to worry about Dragon Slayer causing too much damage to him. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about this gear. So far, a solid one, but not the best. And last but not least, we got additional info before we go. And there's not much banners this time around compared to the last month. So this time we got 2 red up banners featuring Elvis and Lukman. And we also have Eshing and Tyrantel. And then we also have the Ules Legends Destiny banner for Ymir, Tiana, and Adengelmo. We also have Strategic Masters Destiny banner for Andriole, Seraphina, and Joe and Connie. And then we also have the Classic Destiny banner for Landius, Yulia, and Jugular. And the events we'll be expecting in this update is Magic Tower Conquest. So if you're interested in the auto chess kind of style, well, this event is coming back in this update. So that's it for this video. What do you guys think about the inclusion of Heaven Defier, or known as LLR Sonya? She's gonna be great, I gotta say. And let me know in the comments what you think about this character. And I'll see y'all next time for more, of course. And don't forget to subscribe for more content in the future. And also, then they'll be covering some console titles as well, not just Langrisser Mobile, and also some other titles. So yeah, tune in for those, and I'll see you all next time.